everyone. Welcome back for another week of Hope for Second Generation podcast. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. And I'm excited about today's episode because the pressure is off of me. I'm not the one asking the questions. Y'all are. We went to Instagram and asked you guys what you would like to hear Pastor T answer. And boy, did you guys deliver. And so before we get into the questions, I want to welcome back our co-host, Pastor T. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be here again with you.
Yeah.
And enjoying this. And I hope people are enjoying and getting, really ministered by this podcast.
Yeah. No, I mean, the topics have been phenomenal. Right. The conversations have been great. I know I'm a little biased, but man, I've been blessed by it tremendously. And so, like I said today, we're gonna go there. We went through the questions a little bit before we started this recording, and boy, did they come ready. And so I'm glad I'm not the one answering. I'm just facilitating and asking the questions that were asked. And so right now, wherever you're watching, just lay your hands out and pray for Pastor T as he navigates these questions. No, I know he'll do phenomenal. He'll do great. And so let us know how you guys liked this episode. Again, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment behind, share this with your friends and your family. We believe this conversation will be a blessing to many. And so let's just get to it. Okay.
Let's do that.
First question I got to ask.
Okay.
I didn't ask, that the people asked. What the people want to know is, what advice would you give to young people in ministry?
Wow. If you can believe it, I was also young at some point in my life.
I believe it.
You believe it?
You're still young, no?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can hang with us.
I'm trying. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I think the key thing for people who are in ministry or young people in ministry is really to identify someone who can walk with you. Maybe someone who's a little been, have some experience with ministry, or some kind of, person who has a heart to mentor and support someone. I think that would be the very first thing. I can look back in my own personal life and think about the individuals who really poured into me and who supported me, helped me to focus on what God is saying to me and asking me about what it is that my heart is saying or God is saying, so that would be a good thing. Surround yourself with people, a community. And one of the things that you'll find out as a young person is that there's this, and it's a good thing, you have confidence. There's a lot of confidence. You're passionate, and you know that God is going to use you, and you will feel like, I can do this, and I don't need anybody. If I have God, why should I need anybody? Kind of mindset. Until you begin to make mistakes and fail, but you don't have to go that far. The earlier the better, people like David, you would think after he was being anointed by Samuel, I feel like he probably had connection with Samuel throughout his life and his ministry. Someone who would mentor him, who would speak into his life, someone whom you respect their opinion, their life. You will not find, by the way, a perfect person to do all that.
That's right.
And someone but whom you can see Jesus in their life, in some ways. Paul talked about, imitate me as I imitate Christ. And he doesn't mean that he's Christ or he's perfect like Christ. In fact, he talked about, in Philippians, that he's not perfect, moving in the direction of perfection, forgetting everything, So it's not a perfect person that you need, but someone who's with experience, who would be able to guide you. And that definitely is important, even though you know that God, speaks to you, and you have a relationship with God that is strong, you will still need something like that. One story that comes to my mind in the Bible is, and I call this a hope up factor in Numbers chapter 10, where is it Moses? I think his brother-in-law comes to visit, and while he was visiting and he was about to leave, Moses says, "Don't leave us. We'll compensate you. This desert,
right?
Like no one else, and just tell us how to do this. Where we go, where we land, where we stop, where we go." And the funny thing about that is, we know Moses. He hears from God. He's a friend of God.
Yeah,
they had God leading them by cloud and by fire.
Yeah.
Even having experienced it all that, there is something called there is a place for experience, and that is important. So find someone who has been walking with God before you, has done what you're hoping to accomplish, or what God is saying to you, and attach yourself, connect with that person, and create a community around you that would be encouraging you, but also telling you the truth.
That's right.
You don't need somebody who's telling you lies. I mean, saying you're fine, you're good, keep on going. No, people who tell you the truth in love, as Scripture says. So I would advise a young person starting ministry, find someone to mentor you, to coach you, and to pour into you. Someone whom you can go and open your heart with, and ask for prayer.
I love that. That's so beautiful, because you're right. Moses had a personal relationship with the Lord. I mean, he had direct access. He was talking to God face to face, yet and still there was room and space for his life to get counsel because of experience. And so I like that. If Moses wasn't on an island talking to God face to face, who are we to be in an island? And so I like that. All right, you're crushing it. First question, pretty good.
Right.
It's going to get a little bit more difficult as we go on. So, second question that y'all asked is, how do we help young people who've been in ministry and have been burnt out and left?
That's a hard one. It's not, I'm not saying hard because the question is hard to answer, but it breaks your heart. I mean, young people or individuals who love the Lord, and their total focus is just to serve and to be, available to God. And when they're not really supported as they should be supported, when they are not valued as they should be valued, and at some point they get discouraged and kind of leave ministry, that's a loss for the kingdom. That's a loss for the ministry itself, and in addition to the pain that person experiences. And so that's hard in that sense. But the good thing is this, things like that can happen, and we've seen it happen. I know some people who have left ministry. I don't think they still have a heart for God. They love Jesus. They love God. They love ministry, but they just can't see themselves back in action, and because of what they've experienced, and that's a sad story in a way, and I've seen it happen. And in that case, I think my hope, in a way, is that hope for the second generation can be that space where people like that can have some support, where they can reach out and just share, their struggle or their, disappointment, so that they can get support. I mean, if you've somehow experienced a burnout and you're just backing away from ministry, obviously what you need is someone to help you, to be healthy, to hope again, to be passionate again. And that's what I hope would happen. I hope the second gen can be. People being able to reach out. I think of, a person like Paul, the Paul that we know, who wrote, almost two-thirds of the epistles in the New Testament. we do know that after his conversion, the difficulties that he experienced after Damascus, and we read about him in Tarsus, and some theologians would say he's probably burnt out and experiencing some challenge because of who he was. I mean, his heart was so big. He is a different kind of leader, different from the other apostles of Jesus Christ. I mean, in fact, the gospel that he talks about to the Gentiles was not a popular kind of gospel. I suspect that there was some pushback there.
That's right.
In his life, and maybe some of them would support it, but there would be others who would be putting a pushback. And that may be why he was in Tarsus. But God has people like Barnabas to go there and bring him back, and say, I value you. There's something that God has done in your life. Again, it's all about, people who would support us.
That's
and
right.
Imagine, the Christian faith without Paul. If he had stayed there in Tarsus the rest of his life, I'm sure God probably would raise someone. But imagine that. It's hard for me to imagine looking at the book of the New Testament without Paul's writings. I mean, how God used him and how he brought faithfully, the gospel to the Gentiles. And so I would say, again. Just because you're discouraged now, it doesn't mean that you remain there. It might be a time where someone might retreat for whatever reason. And even that moment is not a lost moment.
Right.
God will be there as long as you keep your relationship with God.
Good.
And you have your personal connection with God intact. What we're talking about is ministry, really. And ministry is what God will do through you. And that would come. So I will encourage people who may have been discouraged and burnt out because of ministry to stay faithful to the one who called them, the Savior. We're not in the ministry. We're not following Christ just for the sake of ministry. In fact, ministry comes later. Right. We're first called to follow.
Yes.
We're first called to be disciples, not servants or pastors.
Right.
My first call is to be a disciple, a follower of Christ.
That's good.
And if I maintain that,
that's so good.
Then I can be a successful pastor. If I fail my relationship with Him, if I fail my first call, which is being a disciple, a follower of Christ, I can't go along as a pastor. My ministry will falter at some point. So I would encourage, God has called you to be His child first.
That's good.
A relationship, maintain that. Don't allow anything, including ministry. Do not equate ministry and relationship with Christ as one and the same. They're very different. Ministry is what you do. What God will use you to bless others and to bless the kingdom, the world. But the relationship with you, God is in love with you.
That's right.
Maintain that relationship. And I believe as you do that, God will send a Barnabas on your way, and bring you back to what it is that He will want you to be serving. And I'll add one more thing.
That's so good.
I said it earlier, but I'll say it again because it really is important to me. And I've spoken with some of the people, and I've encouraged some people, kind of like on the sideline now, who were leaders at one point, hoping that H42G will be a place for them, a safe place, a place where they can come to be prayed for, and to be encouraged and supported. Whether they minister or not, it doesn't really matter. So that's what I'm hoping that H42G can be.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So much wisdom, so much insight. That's good. You're crushing these. I was nervous for you, but I don't know if I need to be.
I'm sweating, I'll tell you that.
It's the heat. It's 101 degrees out here. This next question is a follow-up from the question you just answered so well. Someone asked, how do we support their healing journey back to the church or ministry? I know you talked about Hope for Second Generation. We talked about
and that's a very good question. I think we need to bring those people back. And how we do that, I think, is something that we have to think about in terms of strategy, or what program that we can create with Hope for the Second Gen, even for people like that. I mean, I know some, you probably know some, and other people who are asking this question probably know some people. And if we can begin to talk about, a space, a program, providing for people like that to be healthy once again, and to really get re-energized and revived, would be a good thing. I do know that some organizations or churches, denominations have some programs that they've created for their pastors, ministers, because they realize that people go through those kind of things, and that may happen because of hurt, with conflict or whatever, or it could be a family issue, or it could be, the reason could be many reasons, finances or whatever, that discourages people from what they have experienced, and maybe we will have to look into something like that. And if Hope for the Second Generation is just a ministry that just began, but it's so much potential to grow. And I can't do this myself or alone. But people like, the person who's asked that question, who has a heart, for something like that, may have an idea how to do this thing.
Right.
Come talk to us. What are your thoughts? What do you know others are doing to help, young people who are, really gifted leaders who were once active but now are not, in the trenches serving. In fact, they may be even hurting, and what ideas do you have? I want to hear that from the people that have asked the question, or people who have seen this being done. But we need something like that as a program.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I agree with you 1,000%. I do think that we can't do it alone, and oftentimes the people that are asking for help usually have some response or some answer as to how to get the help as well. And so I like that, not to put you on the spot, but, last year at the Hope for Second Generation retreat, you shared a powerful message around, actually, I don't even know if it was a message. I think it was a Q&A session, and you had a response around relationships and friendships. And I wanted to ask you again, because I think that it'd be beneficial for people to listen. How vital are friendships? Because I know that has helped in my healing journey, and that has kept me and helped me stay the course. And I know you share it's been the same for you, but what would you say about friendship and the need for it in people's lives, especially those that are doing ministry?
Critical, very important. You need to have people, in your life who really trust you and are willing to support you. Friends, in that sense. I can tell you, and we talked about this in one of the episodes about me coming to San Jose and starting, being a pastor. My honeymoon was short, less than a year.
My goodness.
Some people wanted me out.
Wow.
Wanted to run me out of that place.
So I've seen enough. He's young. His illustrations don't make sense to us.
His ways of thinking are weird. And this is, and the funny thing is this, most of the people, the church was not large enough at that time, 30 something, not even 40 people, but most of them were single. And I'll tell you what really happened. And I was married and have a family, but few families, most of them were single. And they came and said to me, Pastor, many are single here. This is 1989, 1990. You should teach about relationship or marriage. I said, okay. I thought they like what I would have to say. And as I mentioned to you, I came from an American setting in the American church. And to me, the word dating is not a bad thing.
Uh-oh. I can see where the story's going. Uh-oh.
So I started, is this a Thursday or a Friday evening, teaching weekly to singles who are about 20-something or 30 people, and began to talk about relationship, and they liked it at the beginning, how season of singleness, how important that is, use it. They loved that. And I came to that point where I started talking about dating.
Yeah.
The word dating offended people.
Wow.
And some people said, this is worldly. He wants to make the church place, just corrupting it to become worldly.
Wow.
So some people were mad with me and upset with me.
Yeah.
And so they began to conspire,
Wow. Over the word dating. That's crazy. Lord,
had I known, that, it was just a language.
Yeah.
See, because they're doing it anyway. What is dating? I mean, you get to meet people and get to know one another in different settings, right? Yeah. Whether it's in a group or privately.
Yeah.
That's what, and I haven't seen anyone getting married without getting to know one another.
Right.
I mean, so it's just the language that was problematic.
Yeah.
You see? So during that time, if there weren't people around me who said, you're okay, we're here with you.
Wow.
I would have been out of the ministry right away, quickly.
Yes. Get me out of here. Get me out. Yeah.
I wouldn't stay, and they would not also. And some of the people, friends of mine at that time, people like Pastor Zaleka and Pastor Diane McConan, they were there, and they said, we know him. We know him, and we are with you. It did quite that conflict to begin with, and it also, I also felt like there are people that are supporting me. I'm okay. I'm okay.
That's good.
I was able to continue in the ministry. Friends are important. I think of David and Jonathan. That friendship. A friend is someone that not just only you do ministry with, but a friend is someone with whom you hung out with.
Yeah.
Eat, drink, and laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you're a minister or a pastor, it doesn't mean that you have to be, serious all the time.
That's right.
There's moments for seriousness, but there's also, as a human being, that you are yourself. That you laugh. And you need those people.
That's right.
Laughter is good. So I would encourage, young people who are in ministry to develop friendships. And the best way to develop friendship is you be a friend. Don't expect other people to be friends.
That's good.
With you. You be a friend.
That's good.
And love other people. Take care of other people. And you will find friendship.
That's good. That's a word. Because there's a lot of conversation around how to find a good friend, but not a lot of conversation around how to be a good friend. So I'm with you on that all the way. I know for me personally, I went through a really tough time in 2021, 2022. And to your point, it was my best friend in the world, Pastor Yosef, that his friendship, his love, man, honest to God, I don't know if I'd be sitting here today or in ministry. Sometimes I wonder if I'd even be in the faith if it hadn't been for his friendship. And so I'm with you on that. That's a good word. All right. Going to the next question. We got two more. You're doing well. This fourth one is a big question. Women in second gen ministry spaces seem less visible. How could churches support their work and cultivate their growth?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah.
In most churches that I have seen, whether it's second gen, first gen, or American, women are the people that really do the work. I tell you that. And they're not valued. And I think that is probably a culture that needs to be addressed. And we need to be conscious about that. Without getting into the controversy of, I'm pastor, this or that, one thing I do know is God gifts people, male and female. And it will be to our disadvantage if we're not really, encouraging and supporting whether a person is a male or female to be, to be what God wants them to be. So I think we need to address that in a very proactive way by just really opening doors for people that are gifted, for people whom God has, put some word in them that to share with the world. And what that might mean is leaders like myself, or even H42G, really to open that door for women. I think there needs to be a shift in the way we do this. But the other thing as well is, I think, because of what they have experienced, and women tend to be, taking the back seat. They don't come forth even when they're gifted. So I would encourage women to really, not consider, the gender issue too much, and really be what God wants them to be. I will see, when we develop a program or a schedule, for example, for a retreat, we have to be very conscious about that. Do we have women doing that? Is there a woman gifted? Well, that kind of an opportunity, knowing the people that are there that God can use. So it's something that is not, when unconsciously, without realizing it, we just tend to be defaulting in the cultural way, which is more man-oriented, male-oriented, so to speak. So we need to be cautious, I would say that. And that's a good question, and that's a good reminder even to me as we develop and work on this ministry, H42G, to really make ways for women to serve.
Right. Oh, that's good. Like you said, without women, I don't know where the church would be. Women are the people that he entrusted the news that Jesus was resurrected to. And so, I love that. I love that. All right. One last question for this week's episode. We're wrapping up. We're not going to end on a light note. This is another heavy question. Y'all don't know how to ask easy, simple questions. Y'all go in there. The last question is this. How do you handle conflict with first-gen pastors?
Oh, wow.
Lord be with you.
There's a way to, say yes to Jesus without dishonoring your parents. Right? I think there's some tact there that needs to be there.
Yeah.
Some wisdom.
Yeah.
That needs to be there. One of the things that second generation young people probably would be worried about is not to disappoint, not to dishonor, or to hurt their parents, and that's a good thing. That's a value that they have received and that was instilled in them, which is a good thing. But the truth is that we have to say yes to Jesus, right? In the meantime, we also want to show respect and honor, to the first generation church or leader, or even our parents, so to speak. And wisdom is important here. Yeah. In the setting that you are, a leader yourself of a second gen ministry within a first generation context, I think the best thing to really do, in my view, is to find someone who can be a bridge person. And believe me, there are these people in every church. People who understand, a second gen kind of interest and passion, and also a part of the first gen. Right. And it's always good, and it needs to be that it should be a person who's a first gen person that really understands the heart and the desire of the second gen, leaders. So, somebody like a Mordecai, and I believe there are people in every congregation, and if they aren't in there, find them from elsewhere who can advise you, pray for you, help you how to talk to, the first generation leaders in some ways without offending them, because you don't mean to offend them.
Right. It's
just either the values or the way you think or the way, the cultures are set up, that this situation might create. So find people, bridge people. Identify individuals who will help you before you get into conflict. Don't just wait until you get into conflict and to find a person. At that point, it's probably a little late.
You want to be proactive, not reactive. Yeah.
So as early as possible, as you start, your ministry as a youth pastor or a young adult pastor in a first generation setting of an English group, find a person that is a bridge. That's a good link, trusted by the first gen leadership, and also someone you can trust, and that person has your best interest,
right?
And have that person as a liaison, as someone who works in between. Then you can prevent most of those problems, and that's again, hopefully second gen cannot be everything, but those are the kind of things that I would love to see happen. Us. Hopefully second gen really recruiting pastors that are first gen pastors who really have that kind of a heart, who would be available to work as a middle person, helping in process situations before conflicts arise, I might say.
That's good. I don't know. I've picked up on a theme these last few episodes. If you're struggling, hurting, need some help, need a middleman, hope for second generation is where to go. So I think we've said this every episode, but really use us as a resource. We're really here to help support the vision that God has placed on your heart. Beginning with this book, this is a great resource to help you in going into what God has for you. And so, man, these were, I really appreciated the questions and I appreciated the responses. As we're wrapping up this segment or this episode this week, do you have any last thoughts or anything you want to share before we say goodbye this week?
Well, I would say stay, whatever it is that you're doing, God has you doing, keep doing that.
Yeah.
Don't, and you'll find, obstacles along your way. Be resilient.
Yeah.
Just trust the Lord. Don't be, discouraged by little things. Don't expect people to hand you things and make things happen for you.
Wow.
Just go ahead and trust the Lord. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're walking with Jesus.
Yeah.
Follow him. Ministry comes later. Your first call is to follow him.
That's good.
To be a disciple.
Yeah.
If I fail at being a disciple or follower of Christ, I will definitely 100% fail as a pastor. So the most important thing really is that relationship, that discipleship.
Good.
Yeah. Well, what good is it? I mean, you're doing ministry and you don't have a relationship with Christ.
Right.
You'll crash at some point.
Yeah, that's
because there is no spiritual support there for you from the Lord.
Yeah.
So I encourage, as you do ministry, whether you're woman or female or male, it doesn't really matter. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be challenges. There will be sufferings. There will be price to pay. Well, Jesus paid a huge price for you.
Yeah.
And what you have to pay is nowhere near. So I encourage you to stay on the course.
Yeah. I love it. You heard it here from Pastor T. Stay the course. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Follow Jesus. Be more like a Mary than a Martha. Stay at the feet of Jesus and you will be sustained in all the work that God has for you. Well, thank you for answering those questions with so much wisdom, poise, grace. I hope one day I can answer tough questions like that. That was impressive. I'm not going to lie to you. So, thank you again for joining us this week. Again, hit the like button, the subscribe button, leave us a comment. Tell us how you enjoyed this episode. If you want us to have a part 2 or if you have follow-up questions, let us know. Again, DM us. We want to hear from you. We exist to serve you. And so hope this conversation blessed you. Until next week, next time, family, peace and grace.